Okay, so this is the explanation of group work that we would have done. So this is just extra practice for you if you're so inclined. Again, is a file that should be uploaded right before this video. Um, and this is what we would have gone over in class. So yeah, we'll see what we can do. So again, the question is always like, well, how do I know when to use which formula? So if you're trying to get probability and you know you have to find a z-score, when do you use this one and when do you use this one, okay? This premise is all the same, right? But here we have that little addition. So you're going to use this formula when you have the probability of only one object or person or however it's phrased, okay? You're going to use this formula when it's asking for the probability of a group or a sample, something to that effect. Now, if you want to just keep one formula and keep that all the time, that's cool. Just use this one, because if you are using this and you have a sample that's greater than 1, you have to use this formula. But you can use this formula as well if you just have one object, because if you have the probability of 1, then your n is 1, right? What's the square root of 1? Well, that's still 1. What's anything divided by 1? Just that number. So if you're going to default to using a single formula, use this one. Okay. All right. But you know, keep them, and do the right thing at the right time. Make good choices. Okay. So if we were in class, we would have done this one. And it sets up the scenario. It says a recent study of the lifetimes of cell phones found that the average is 24.3 months. The standard deviation is 2.6. If a company provides its 33 employees with a cell phone, find the probability that the mean lifetime of these phones will be, and then it sets up our two x's. Right, Ace is back. Okay, so from this question, we have to use this formula because it's asking about 33 employees, okay, or their cell phones. And then it gives us everything else. So this is what it's asking for. So this is the x in this case. So here it's asking about less than 23.8. So that's the number in question, minus the average. So the average is 24.3. And gives us the standard deviation of 2.6. And we need to incorporate that square root of n. So we're going to have 2.6 divided by, yeah. So again, get the top number first, and then I would just divide that top number by whatever value this ends up being. And to avoid rounding, just use it as it is. So I'm going to put this in the calculator all together. I'm going to take this number, my top number, divide by, so you see it has answer, and it's going to use that number. It always uses your last answer. Open up parentheses. Don't forget the square root part. And hit enter. And so we get a z-score of negative 1.1, and this 4 is not big enough to change that 0. Close, but not close enough. Okay, so again, that's not your answer, that's the z-score. So we have to look that up in a table, in table E, to get the probability answer. We're going to look up negative 1.10, negative 1.1, and then 0. We see it's 0.1357. All right, so on the left side, here we have our z-score. It's about negative 1.10. We looked that up. That area was 0.1357. So is this the area that we want? That's based on whether it's less than or greater than, right? So less than means the left side. We got the left side. So our answer is the number from the table. Okay. All right, here it says greater than 25 months. All the other information is the same. So now this is going to be our x. We're going to put 25 in. All right, so we take 25 and minus 24.3, and we get 0.7. And then I'm just going to take that 0.7 and divide it by whatever that is, right? So 0.7 divided by, open up parentheses, 2.6 divided by the square root of 33, close those parentheses, hit enter, and we get when we round it, the 6 is big enough to change at 4. So our z-score is 1.55. So we look on the table to get that probability. So 1.55. So here's 1.5. We go over to 5, and we see that's 0.9394. All right, here's the question. Is that the probability that we want? So this is a probability to the left based on the question. Do we want the left side or the right side? Well, it says greater than, so greater than is a right side direction. So that means we're going to have to take 1 minus that probability to get the remainder. Again, you only do that if it's a greater than or a right side type of question. Okay, and so the actual answer will be 0.0606, so about 6%. Okay. This is, again, I think a question stolen off Newton. And here it's asking about coffee orders made hourly. The distribution has a mean of 40 coffees and a standard deviation of 6 with a sample size of 35. So pretty straightforward there. But they're asking us these questions about that. So here it says, what is the mean of the sample distribution? So that's that funky little symbol that they throw in. So the mean of the sample is the mean that they give us. This is the standard deviation, round to 2 decimal places. So they give us the population standard deviation, but they want the sample one. So this is when we have to take what's given and divide it by the square root of n. So the standard deviation is 6 with a sample size of 35. And in our handy dandy calculator, we get rounded to 2 decimal places, so it'll be 1.01. When we put that in, that 4 is not big enough to change that 1. All right. Last but not least, here we have weights of giant pumpkins, and they give us a mean of 35 and a standard deviation of 5 pounds. They give us a sample size. What is the probability that the sample mean of these pumpkins is less than 36 pounds? So that's the number in question. So it gives us the mean average. It gives us a population, well, it gives a standard deviation of 5 and a sample size of 45. So again, we're going to put these values in, asking about 36. So that comes first, minus the average. Then the standard deviation is 5, with a sample size of 45. So I can do 36 minus 35 pretty easily without coffee, but the bottom I cannot do. So I'm going to take that and do 5 divided by square root of 45 in parentheses, like that, and see what we get. Okay, so we get 1.34. Again, that's not the answer to probability, because as we know, probability can't be over 1. This is the z-score that we got. So we're going to have to look that up. So we look up the z-score of 1.34. Go over to 4, 0.9099. Okay. And then we have to ask ourselves, is that what we want? Since this is the left side of that area, or do we want the right side? So again, it's in the question. It says, what is the probability that it's less than 36 pounds? So less than means left side. So this is on the left side. So this is our answer. No more math. Yay! All right, so thank you for hanging in there with me for that one, and see what we got coming up next.